My name is Jess Servion, and I'm super excited to bring you my new podcast, The Juice with Jess. This podcast is going to be about everything in your customer's journey. We're talking acquisition, awareness, making that purchase, retaining that customer, bringing them back around, and everything in between. This is going to be all about delivering dope brand experiences and talking to some really amazing people who are in the customer experience space, the marketing space, and everything in between. Welcome back to another episode of The Juice with me, Jess. I am super excited about this week's episode because I am recording it in San Francisco, California with my friend, Courtney Conway, who was the former director of retention at Brooklinen, you know, the sheets company. So I'm going to let her take it away and give you all the jams about who she is and what she's doing now.
Hi, I'm very excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
I'm so happy to have you.
Yay.
In sunny California.
It's really nice this weekend too. It's great. Love it. I was at Brooklinen for the last 5 years, which is great. I've seen a lot, basically. Pandemic, everything. And before that, I was at a small skincare company called Palermo, also doing marketing. So in total, I've been doing it for about a little over 6 years at this point. And then literally as of last week, I'm now doing some freelance consulting marketing, which I'm really excited about.
Yeah.
And yeah, excited to talk about retention.
I'm super excited to talk about retention. I think that, when we talk about marketing funnels, we talk about how do you acquire the customer? How do you gain awareness? How do you bring them into the funnel and convert them and all these other things, right? And they've made the purchase, but then how do you retain them?
Yeah.
And this is like a big subject. I mean, so I'm super stoked about it. I would actually like to even start here. How the hell did you get into retention marketing?
Yes, great question. Okay, so I moved to New York back in 2015 and originally thought that I wanted to do like content writing, copywriting kind of thing. So I was doing that, doing some freelancing, was also working in restaurants because that did not pay the bills. So was doing that for a while, and then came across the marketing role at Palermo, and I actually knew the founder through some of the freelance work that I was doing. So it was like a super easy intro, and then got the job there. Was there for about a year, maybe a little over a year, and that was like a great introduction because it was a very small team. It was like me, the founder, and like 2 other people.
The best
and
times.
I was doing everything, like all marketing, and was like Googling how to do everything, essentially. So I was doing email. I was designing the emails. I was writing the emails. I was doing blog content. I was doing copywriting, growth marketing, like literally everything. So I learned so much in a year. And then about a year in, was kind of feeling like I really liked the email side because it kind of had a little bit of everything. You had the creative side, but then you also had like the data side as well. So you kind of got best of both worlds. Found the job at Brooklinen. This was back, I think I actually found the job in like 2018, end of 2018, so a long time ago. And then got the job in the beginning of 2019, was the only email marketer on the team, which was crazy, was reporting into the VP of marketing. And then from there, obviously, Brooklinen was obviously growing already at that point, and then the pandemic happened, and we grew an insane amount. So yeah, I kind of just sped my way up all the way to the director of retention for the last like 2.5 years. Have been in every role, and the brand itself, or the team itself, I should say, was an email focus at first, and then kind of transitioned into more of retention. So that's kind of how I say I fell into retention a little bit, but I do really enjoy it. So yeah. The rest is history.
Well, I think it's like really interesting because, so like I said, right? Like we talk about acquisition and then we talk about the customer's journey. And we also talk about how retention is a part of that, right? Like it's such a part of it. And I think that a lot of times retention is very confused for CRM. marketing,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And you, I mean, you even said it, like my journey was email and it was this and it was all these other things, which is very, for anybody who's listening who is maybe not in marketing, CRM is more about like email, SMS, like kind of like that.
The channels,
Channels, right?
Totally.
I actually don't know what CRM stands for. I just...
Customer retaining management, retention management. Yeah, something like that.
I don't know why, like, you know why I don't know? The reason I like had that moment was because like CRM is used also for help desks too, like, or Salesforce or like 100%, in sales, right?
Yeah.
Like, so
or CDP, like it's all, they're all just throwing around like, acronyms.
It's all like CAC, CAC, like, you know, it's all, they're all, I always forget. But anyway, it's not that I didn't know. I'm just saying, like,
there's just too many of them to keep track.
Of, like, which one is that?
Totally, yeah.
Anyway, doesn't matter. So,
or it's actually customer relationship management. I'm sorry, that's what it is, not retention.
Right.
See, there's too many of them to keep
you
track.
Confused me.
Sorry,
I was like, oh, okay, that's a new
customer
one.
Relationship. I'm so sorry.
No, it is.
Yeah.
Which, because CRM can be used, like I said, when describing a software tool, but also as a marketing strategy.
Yeah, totally.
Right?
Yep.
So, like, think about it, customer relationship management, right? Like, so the whole basis of retention is growing those relationships with your customers. What's interesting, and like going back to what I was saying, is that I think a lot of times people confuse your retention just from email. Yeah. But it's not just email. You got to like understand your customer. You got to understand your customer's journeys, the strategies on how to get them, segmenting. It's not, and most of the time, like retention strategies, because I see this a lot, like in the freelance world. Yeah. People are like, oh yeah, okay, like I have my retention strategy and it's like your win back campaign and your upsell campaign. Yeah. But where are you deep diving into your consumers' behavior to actually retain them? Yes. Because it's so much more. It's loyalty, it's rewards, it's all these other things. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, we just nerded out. I apologize.
There's a lot more to retention than just email, for sure. Absolutely. Yeah, and I think a lot of brands too right now. I mean, everyone was so growth obsessed for so long. Yes. And now I think the last few years, I'm curious to see also what's going to happen, especially with freelancing now and working with these other brands. I don't know. I think brands are starting to really realize how important retention is, and also that retention is way more than just email. Like it's also your growth strategy and what customers you're bringing in from the get-go. Are they bad customers and they're never going to repeat anyway? And like your customer service experience, what does that look like? What does your shipping experience look like? Like all of these elements, all these touch points, your site experience. Like if someone has a bad site experience or they get a bad product that they hate, you could send them a million emails and they will never repeat ever again.
Right, because you're not spending the time to understand that customer's relationship with you. Yeah. CRM, baby.
Yeah. Customer retention relationship.
It's okay. We're making up things today. It's Saturday here. Okay.
Yeah, it is. It's a Saturday morning.
You're listening to this on a Thursday. We're filming this on a Saturday.
There's a lot going on.
Yeah. No, I think it's really interesting. Well, you know, I have like a series of questions, but I think we're just diving in at this point. I think it's what's really interesting, like, and that I really want to dive in with you on is, okay, so like Brooklinen specifically, but like also like Marlowe Pillow, Palermo Body, like all, or any e-commerce company, right? Is, you know, you can have this retention strategy, but the world that I've come up in is the creator world, like the talent-led brands. Retention is so different.
Yeah, I bet.
On that side. So like, and I don't want to bore anybody with like the talent-led piece of this. Like I would really like to know from you, let's pretend that you're starting a fresh brand. Yeah. Completely fresh. You obviously have your acquisition strategy, so your growth and like, you know, you figured out your website and all these other things, right? But how would you, and what advice would you give when you're thinking about retention to a brand new e-com founder? Yeah. So, I mean, I think about it in probably like 3 or 4 different buckets. So first, like, what are your goals to begin with? So like at Brooklinen, for example, like repeat rate was a really big KPI for us. But the other KPIs you could think about are lifetime value, lifetime revenue, the percentage of repeat customers that make up your entire business. You could think about even just email and what that percentage is for your business. There's a lot of different ways you could think about it. So first, understanding your goals is number one. And then how are you performing to those goals? Are you meeting those goals? Are you not meeting those goals? And also your historical context too. Like,
Was there a moment in time that you were meeting those goals and then you stopped, or vice versa? So kind of really trying to get the big picture and understanding what that looks like. Obviously, it's different if you're a brand new startup and you have no historical context. So I think just understanding your goals, for one, is a good place to start. And then your retention channel strategy will be another bucket. So that's your email, that's your SMS. If you're doing direct mail, if you're doing paid social, like all of those things, what does your automation strategy look like? Your segmentation, your campaign strategy, how many emails are you sending each week? Like all of those things. I could literally just keep going just on email.
Yeah, and email, and I just want to, this is a hot take, okay?
Ooh,
your email strategy doesn't mean bombard them with 1,000 emails.
Also, sending emails doesn't equal revenue.
Right.
You should do incrementality testing. It is a game changer to do incrementality. Like there has been so many times where we have done tests, especially in automations, where we'll do a test and thinking it'll just be a whole group. So an incrementality test, thinking that this content, this email is going to move the needle, it's going to help conversion rate, and actually it does the opposite. Like sending more emails actually isn't the answer at all. So
newsflash, my friends. I'm looking directly at the camera if you're viewing in. Newsflash. Do not continuously send emails. That is not a retention strategy. Segment your customers.
And there's some customers that maybe they need a lot of emails, like a prospect. Maybe they need more emails than a loyal customer. A loyal customer doesn't need 5 emails a week for the most part. I would be shocked if they do, unless you're sending them some amazing content that's like adding so much value to their life that they're like obsessed. But anyway,
different audiences. Like absolutely going back to talent-led brands versus like, you know, a Brooklinen or skincare brand or whatever, right? Completely different audiences. Like content is king, like and queen. King and queen. And I think content is really good, like really dope, like graphics, all these things. But sometimes also a text-based email. Okay too.
Very fair. But the last part too, I would also focus on, going back to what I was saying earlier, is what's your growth strategy? What customers are you bringing in? Are they bad customers that are literally never going to repeat? Because if they are, you're doing your retention team a total disservice if you're just bringing in these customers that we're never even planning on repeating ever again. So that would be another thing I would really want to dig into. And understanding, like you're saying, like understanding your high value customers. What makes them a high value customer? Where are they coming from? What are they buying? How long are they taking to repeat? Like all of those things. You can like really get into the nitty gritty. So actually the last thing too, I would say for a new brand, like I know starting with an analytics team maybe sounds scary or like you don't feel like you need it yet, but like it'll change your life. I feel like if you start with an analytics team and having your data be clean from the very beginning will make a really big difference. Down the line.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that also actually applies for like everything, not even just like marketing strategy stuff. Because, you know, we've seen some things, right? Like I've also been 0 to 4 in a startup. You've been 0 to 4 in startups. And sometimes like when you're getting into the groove of things and you're just starting, right? You're just like, your file systems are like all over the place. You're not looking at your analytics. Like all you're looking at is like, how much should I sell? Okay, cool. Do I have enough inventory? Can I make this happen? Right? Like that's it. But if you start the process from like cleanliness, and organization of your org, but also specifically in your data, marketing channels, right? Like start small. Like literally just download, if you're using Klaviyo, SendLane, whatever it is to send your emails, download the data, make a simple dashboard to understand how your campaigns are hitting, because that is going to help you.
Long term, for sure. Because I think a lot of people too might think that like the analytics side isn't going to move the needle necessarily right away, but you got to think about long term. Same with like going back to customers and like the new customers that you're bringing in. Like you want to focus on high value customers from the get-go, because you got to think about the long term gains, not necessarily the short term gains. So
absolutely. Actually, this is a really good just like story to share, like as we're talking about this. So I was advising like a baby email marketer, right? Email and SMS marketer. And wanted to like level her up and like thinking about how she's campaigning, right? And so suggested like, hey, just like build a scrappy dashboard to understand your click-through rate, your revenue per SMS campaign. Sorry, I like need to specify that this is SMS campaign. The reason SMS campaign is really important is because to send SMS is actually really costly, right? So it's like even you gotta like email's good. Email's like the best, like your top, your first line, right? Then it's adding SMS as a channel when you've like nailed email. And then you convert that, and then you start converting email users into like your SMS list. But because SMS can be so costly, you want to make sure that your campaigns are hitting. You're not just sending out stuff.
Totally.
So going back to that story and like just advice as like to anybody listening, doing that scrappy like sort of analytics dash, like and what we did was like we did a very scrappy analytics dash, put together all the campaigns like click-through rate, revenue, like all of these things, right? Downloaded a lot of this stuff from the SMS tool. And then that actually gave her a visibility of like, oh shoot, this campaign didn't hit. Even though you have those analytics in your tool. Yeah. But like
when you take a step back and like zoom out and compare it to the other campaigns, it really makes a difference. Something that I've struggled with too, I think with SMS in particular, is there's definitely double attribution happening between email and SMS. So like that's an issue that's like also needs to be solved. And again, an analytics team could definitely help you kind of parse out that information and be able to have a better understanding between the channel performance too, because that you could be sending these SMSs and then an email the same day, and in the SMS platform, it looks like it crushed it. But then in your email platform, it says the same thing. So you're like, okay, where's the revenue actually being attributed to? So yeah, I think that's another thing to think about.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, honestly, I feel like we can do a whole episode on attribution revenue. I'm not going to lie. Because all the systems, a little cuckoo, okay?
Yeah.
And we're not naming them. But I know.
I got thoughts.
I know your data is not always right, okay?
Oh, yeah.
So back to Courtney's point, though, like having somebody, whether it's an analytics team or at least having somebody responsible for those analytics is so important when starting a business.
It's a game changer. Like it opens up so many doors, I feel like, and it just changes your strategy completely because it's hard to be really strategic if you don't have the data to be able to actually guide you. So
yeah, absolutely. Well, I also think, and this podcast is very much about like customer journeys, right? And like this is why it's important to talk about like retention, like marketing strategy, because it's really understanding your customer's journey, right? So like even going back to this analytics thing, right? Like deep diving into your analytics is literally the first stop on understanding segmentation and your customer's journey through your marketing funnel. Yeah. Right? Agreed. Like if you're a brand new brand and like you're immediately going to be like, oh, I want to go and like, I want to do paid ads. I want to do social. I also want to do email. I want to do maybe SMS, whatever, right? But at least you're going to do social. You're probably going to do some paid and you're definitely going to do some email, right? So like these are all 3 different marketing strategies, but understanding those journeys of your customer are so important. So understanding, so again, I'm hammering it. We're literally spending 5 minutes talking about analytics, but like straight up, like understanding those analytics is going to be the first step of understanding your customer's journey and like how you've acquired and then how you can apply that to retention.
Yeah. Like if you want to level up your retention game, analytics is the answer. Yeah.
So let me ask you then, what are your favorite KPIs?
Love this question also. I think LTV is probably my favorite KPI, or LTR is another thing that we would use at Brooklinen, which essentially is the same thing. It just minus COGS. I guess I have a hot take. I don't know if it's a hot take.
I love a hot take.
Should I look at the camera? But I hate when ESPs have LTV as a data point and it's literally just all of the revenue a customer, or basically all the money a customer has spent. And that's like the LTV.
That's not accurate.
That's not LTV.
That's not accurate at all.
That's not taking into account how much did it cost to acquire this customer, what products did they buy, and how much did that cost to make, the shipping, return, like all of that. That's your LTV. Not just putting together how much, like their AOV all added up. Like that's not it. So that I really hate when ESPs do that, and they should stop doing that because it's misleading.
For the audience, what is an ESP? Because it's out.
Email service provider.
And what's an LTV?
Lifetime revenue or lifetime value.
Or
LTR is lifetime revenue. Yeah.
And AOV?
Average order value. God, this is like a quiz.
I know. Well, I'm not. I wasn't trying to quiz you.
No, it's okay.
I was like, oh, I'm a marketer. I'm right.
No, there's like too many of them to keep track of. So
yeah, but I the only reason I wanted you to do that is because it's like, you know, if there's any baby marketers out there who don't know, you know,
no, it's a good.
But I think you're absolutely right. Like, a lot of people inflate their LTV constantly.
Yeah.
Like, I like see some of these brands and they're like, oh, we got this really high LTV. Like, oh, it's you know, $100 a customer or whatever it is, right? Like, or something, you know. And I said $100 a customer, but I actually was thinking about AOV in that moment. But that's my point. Like, but what I'm saying is, like, numbers seem so inflated sometimes, like. And again, this is why, like, I'm glad that you answered your favorite KPIs, and we talked about analytics on the first half of this. Yeah. Because now you got to do your analytics. Then you have to, like, find your KPIs that are make sense to you.
Yeah.
But your analytics also should include not only your marketing strategy stuff, but your P&L.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Also, everyone in the company should be speaking the same language too.
Hot take city over here, okay? Cross-functional communication.
Net revenue definition should be the same across the board, or like all of those things too. I think that's another thing that's important to, because also all the different platforms, they might have slightly different definitions of revenue as well. So you could be looking at your email platform, for example, and I mean, going back to attribution, like you could be looking, if you're using Klaviyo, like their attribution is going to be different than if you're looking in like Looker or Google Analytics, whatever it might be, like it's going to be. So just making sure you align all of those things so everyone's speaking the same language is also helpful.
Yeah. I think that's a really good point too. Like, not even just on retention, growth, performance, whatever piece of the marketing funnel you're on, right? I think it's really important to just have like cross-functional communication amongst the team, but also amongst the company too. Yeah. Like, marketing sometimes gets like, you know, supply chain is here, marketing's here, customer service is here, right? And the thing is whatever, and granted, those are only like two pieces of it, right? But like, whatever affects the customer is all going to trickle down to the customer service team, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So, like, not like, I know we're talking about analytics here, but like, I think it's really important for your customer service experience team, whichever one you want to call it, that they understand that overall brand experience that you're trying to deliver from like a revenue perspective and like what marketing's goals are, so then they can be prepared to also like help service that too.
Yeah, because it's like if a customer service rep knows that a customer who's reaching out is a high value customer, for example, they can maybe treat them a little bit better than like a low value customer that's like just actually costing you money if they're gonna keep buying and just returning everything that they're buying. Right. So it could just be a bit more tailored. So
yeah, totally. There's actually like a brand that like I was like doing some advising for last year, and they kind of like purchase other brands, right? So they purchase other brands, and then they had like high like return rates, right? And like they actually did something really interesting. They would take a lot of these like KPIs or these analytics from like their marketing platforms and put it into their service desk. So then like,
that's smart.
And then actually like define what a VIP customer is versus like a basic customer. I don't know, like so then it kind of played a role into like exactly what you were saying though. Like, okay, if you're a VIP customer, the team actually understood what made them a VIP customer, right? Like,
totally.
This is somebody who doesn't always return stuff. This is somebody who like is constantly purchasing our products. Whereas like, okay, the basic customer, I don't want to it wasn't titled basic. I'm just
it's like an average customer.
Average customer. There you go.
Yeah,
like basic just sounded like rude. So I was like, so like, and then average customer though, not necessarily was treated differently by any means.
Totally.
But it shifted the attitude of the service team, because then they were like, okay, I'm going to deliver really good service to you for sure. But I'm also like, if you were trying to return something, I'm going to think about it in a different manner of like how I can save that sale for you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Totally. Yeah.
So random thought.
Yeah.
is why like those KPIs aren't just important to just marketing.
Yeah, totally. The other thing too I was just thinking about is like, even for a customer service rep, like understanding what products, if you have like a wide range of products, let's say, which products have the highest value customer buying them that that leads to a high value customer. So then if someone reaches out and is like, hey, what should I buy? And I'm torn between these two products. Like, what should I do?
Yeah.
Like, maybe you could try to have them buy the product that you know leads to a higher value customer. So like also having them understand that, I think, is helpful too. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Just bring everybody along for the ride. And I think that same thing applies like even for our supply chain team too. You know?
Totally.
Like, we won't super deep dive into it, but like I think like understanding like what every department's goals are and like like the overall like revenue, but like how we're getting to even that revenue is going to help every person in the company understand that customer's journey and contribute to it.
Yeah, totally.
You know?
Totally.
I'm a nerd. Guess what, fam? The customer community is back. If you're not already familiar with the community, you can sign up to get your questions answered, discuss best practices, and connect with other professionals in the CX space. Check it out today at community.customer.com. See you there. Okay. Have you come across any unexpected insights or challenges when analyzing customer retention? What's your favorite? And what's your favorite thing you were like, dang, that was sick?
I feel like there's probably so many. I mean, I feel like something that was a recent like top of mind thing at Brooklinen was opt-in performance and like where customers are opting in on the site and also what channel they're coming from. And that also has a downstream impact in terms of like how engaged they are through email, how much they spend overall. So again, going back to data, I mean, I feel like we're just hammering it home.
Just hammering it home. Data.
I'm a big fan, if you can't tell. But yeah, I feel like there's just really interesting insights that you could kind of glean. So yeah, opt-in performance, I think, was one. That's like maybe a little obvious, but I think really understanding like if someone's opting in via the overlay versus at checkout, like they actually might have very different I don't know, not experiences, but what's the word I'm looking for?
Yeah, it would be
experiences. Yeah, I guess experiences are just like outcomes, I guess, as a customer.
Yeah. Experience and outcomes, different journeys.
Yeah. So that was a really interesting insight. And then from there, we were able to kind of understand like, okay, for the site team, they might want to focus a little bit more on getting more customers signing up via the overlay because those were higher value. So just kind of understanding that, I think, was a really interesting and like a bit of a win too. Because if you're getting more subscribers through email, your email is going to perform better. Also, that's going to cut down your costs for growth marketing if you're getting more people signed up. So it's all connected.
Yeah. God, I love data.
No, I love
data and analyzing these things though, because
really
it's
helpful.
Like it's so a part of the customer's journey. And
I agree.
And I loved that example of it because it's again like. I think a lot of times like people probably like, this is my hope is that people like learn about customer journeys like from this podcast because it's so not just siloed to one piece of just servicing the customer.
It's all connected.
It's all connected and like your customer experience doesn't start at the service piece of it. It starts at like literally hello.
Yeah.
How do I enter that funnel? How have I entered that funnel? How have I journeyed with your brand? How are we creating a really dope experience for the customer? And so when I say dope experience, it's like, it's all of this. It's like analyzing your opt-in rates. It's like analyzing like the customer's journey on the website and like what they're going through to even get into your funnels, right?
Yeah. And you could talk to them then differently. Like if you have a lot of customers coming from affiliate versus paid social versus TikTok, and you're then collecting that data and passing that into your ESP, you could then use that to have maybe some slightly different messaging in your welcome flows or I don't know, in your abandons or whatever it might be. Because if someone's coming in through affiliate affiliate, they're maybe more of a researcher versus someone who's coming in from paid social. They might just have a different mindset. So I think understanding, again, those journeys and how those customers are different, because they are. Even if you think about your own experience, like when I'm scrolling through Instagram and I see a brand that I like and I sign up, like I'm probably not going to buy right away. I'm kind of signing up to like save it for later. Usually, I don't know, maybe TikTok is kind of different. I feel like people will just like buy on TikTok shop.
Girl.
So it's a little different, but
no, it totally is. But I think, okay, this is actually like a really good hot take piece of it that I will like want to talk about.
Third hot take, I think.
I know we're just so hot take season over here, you know. I don't know if it's like hot take, but this is actually a really good thing that I want to talk about, because I think the Instagram journey and the TikTok journey are obviously two different things.
Oh,
right?
Totally.
Like Instagram is trying to be like TikTok, in
the
sense of like, oh, you can shop now and you can do these things, right? Like that live like commerce and like social.
Yeah.
But TikTok has like that TikTok shop.
Yeah.
Is just so insane,
like crazy.
I know, but it's like it's such a game changer for an e-commerce brand.
Yeah,
like to have a strategy on TikTok, and it's not just about making reels anymore. It's actually like a selling point, right? Because you can display the product, and you can like, or you could have like an influencer utilizing your product, and then lead them directly to the TikTok shop, and not only can you just buy that one product, right? You could also partner or not necessarily this product would partner with another, but like the TikTok shop has like multiple other products, right?
Yeah, totally.
So it's like, at that point, it's a completely like commerce piece of it, which I also think, depending on when this airs, is really interesting with the TikTok ban.
That's true. Yeah.
Because if TikTok does get banned, right, it would actually play a direct effect into this new pathway for e-commerce brands, like making like a different, more money on a different channel. Like every brand that I have ever advised, worked with, whatever, in the last like year and a half has been on TikTok shop and making money.
What's going to happen if TikTok gets banned? I wonder what's going to happen to like costs, like CAC for like Instagram and stuff.
Yeah, which would
be something to think about.
Which I know, which is also an interesting thing too when you think about it, because have you seen those conspiracies that like Meta's behind it all?
No,
like,
I haven't. I probably will now, though. I'm sure my phone's listening.
I know. Now it's listening. You know, now it's going to really start selling you stuff. No, I've seen. I wouldn't say conspiracies. Like I don't want to say that, but like I've seen people like just kind of like say that like Meta is like behind some of this, which makes sense.
See that. Yeah, that I wouldn't put it past.
Yeah,
Mr. Zuckerberg.
I know. We're in San Francisco after
all.
I
know. Maybe
wow, how meta of us.
No,
and I actually didn't mean that in a punny way.
It's like actually accurate.
Yeah, I know. It's like, this is interesting. Anyway, I think that the journey between Instagram and TikTok are so different, and I think what's going to be interesting is like how all of this plays out.
I agreed. Yeah,
you know,
agreed.
I prefer TikTok. Not TikTok, I'm sorry. I prefer Instagram.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say, I think I prefer, especially now, I think TikTok has gotten a little too, like, there's so many ads. Like, every other TikTok when I'm scrolling is, like, an ad to sell me something.
I know.
They really want to sell me the, like, freckle makeup thing. It's like insane.
Were you looking at like TikToks about freckles?
No, like you know the makeup freckle
yeah,
thing?
I know.
I haven't even looked at it, but no, they just really want to sell it to me.
They really know who you are.
And I'm like, I already have freckles.
You're
I'm
like,
good.
Yeah,
I don't need more. Thanks though.
I did come across a really interesting stat, and I think I think what will be interesting is like as the generation, like, so let's say nothing was happening with TikTok and it was just like Instagram and TikTok, and like we just continued on this journey. I think more millennials are down for Instagram shopping over TikTok. And the stat that I found was 68% of Gen Z adults are down to purchase from TikTok, but that's a generational thing.
Yeah, totally.
This question is specific to Brooklinen. Okay. But, and I'm curious, like, as pertains to retention, but do you think people buying sheets buy them only once and they're done? Like, or do you think that, like, they continuously come back? Yeah.
I mean, they definitely do continuously to come back. I mean, it depends. Obviously, there are definitely people who, like, buy sheets once and they think they're going to last them 10 years, which is, like, not true.
No,
please replace your sheets.
Yeah,
that's gross.
Don't get offended when I say this, but like my parachute sheets, like those didn't last 10 years. And I have like in my closet, I got Brooklinen, I got Parachute.
Yeah.
I got the Target ones.
Yeah. So there are definitely people that buy one Parachute. I'm not going to say that's not the case, but there are definitely people, especially if you're like into the style of your home and the look of your home. I think sheets can be a really easy way also to kind of refresh your bedroom in like a quick, easy way of just like getting a new pair of sheets or like a duvet and pillowcases, and then like your room looks nice and pretty and fun. Yeah. So like with the seasons changing, so there definitely are people that do that, and like having new product launches and new colors. I think Brooklinen does do a good job at having like limited edition drops of new colors. I think that's always like a fun thing for a brand to do, like exclusivity, limited edition. Yes. I love that. I think that's a really, limited,
I love it. Limited time offer.
Yeah. Another one to keep track of. But yeah, I think having the limited edition drops like does really well, because then it adds that like, I don't know, for a customer, they're like, ooh, I really want to get this, because once it's gone for good. So yeah, I think that's a really smart way to approach product launches, especially for something like sheets that like you don't think people are going to buy a ton of.
Right.
So to make it feel a little bit more exclusive, I think helps a little bit.
Yeah. I have a fun Brooklinen customer journey experience that I had. So I live in Chicago, and like where I live is in the West Loop, and there is a Brooklinen store down the street from me.
Yeah.
And one day I was like, seasonal depression, you know, I was just
seasonal. The best of us.
Yeah. I mean, winter in Chicago, baby.
I'm sure.
You know? So a little seasonal depression. I'm just like walking around, whatever. And I see bright, fresh, like linen. and it's not spring, but I'm like, spring is coming. So I like enter the store and I didn't end up buying the sheets because they didn't have like the size that I wanted, but I bought a new shower curtain that was like fresh and fun, you know? But it proves your point is what I'm saying. It's like those limited edition, those like can really play a part in like exciting your customer to want to like purchase them. Yeah. Like, I mean, my story is like seasonal depression in Chicago. Okay. And like, I want fun and bright, but you know, it made me happy, right?
Totally. Yeah. I think, I mean, I'm a big believer, side note, of like having the space around you be like nice and pretty definitely makes a difference on your mood. Just
oh my God,
it's like a psychological tidbit.
Yeah. I mean, you're absolutely right. You're totally right. I can go into it.
I'm a psychologist, actually.
Yeah. So retention really means consumer behavior psychologist.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, speaking of the retail store, do you actually think, from a retention perspective, what are the difficulties of solving for the customer retention in retail?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I mean, it is definitely a challenge. Yeah. I think if you're able to have your unique identifier, again, going back to data, if you're able to have your unique identifier not be email, I think that could be a big, or like that could help a lot. Because if someone comes in, if they order on your store and emails your unique identifier, and they have one email, the email online, and then they go in store and they use a different email, like those are going to be two completely different customers. So if you're able to do something like, I don't know, address, I think some people do, or like phone number is another one people do. I think that could help a little bit, kind of understanding the customers that are actually buying in store and online and connecting the dots a little bit. Because when they're separate, it makes it pretty hard, because then you're kind of treating this one person like two people. So if you're able to kind of consolidate as much as possible, I think that could be a really big game changer.
Yeah, absolutely. So CRM.
Yes.
Yeah. So not the email SMS version of it, like the tool version of it.
Yes.
I also think that if you're going to have a brick and mortar store or retail store or whatever, like retail of your own, because I think it's kind of hard if you go into like a department store, right?
Sure.
Or
like a Target or
Target.
Like, totally.
Right?
That's hard. Yeah.
So like I think specific to if you plan to do the brick and mortar of my own brand and be online, keeping the same point of sale. Platforms.
Yeah. Totally. I agree. Yeah.
Because then your customer information is going to be like
all in the same. Yeah. Agreed. Yeah, definitely. And I think like thinking about these things before you have the store and trying to kind of solve for them. Yeah. In the very beginning, I think will be really helpful downstream, and trying to kind of understand also what the customer experience is going to be in store. Like, are your store associates going to ask people, like, how did you hear about us? Or like that kind of stuff. Like, are you going to be trying to get some data from these customers when they're in the store, and what would that experience look like? And like, does it make sense for the customer to be asked that? Is it like weird if you ask them that? Or just kind of what that journey even looks like in person is definitely something to think about even before the store is even open.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I want to switch gears completely.
Okay.
And I actually want to talk about just like you as a marketer, just your general philosophies, right? But I want to get your hot take on how are you utilizing AI in marketing strategies, but like thinking about it as a marketer in the space as like the space evolves.
Totally. Yeah. I feel like I have some hot takes also about it.
Oh, girl, let's go.
Well, I think for email in particular.
Okay.
Just because I have had experiences in email platforms where they have these like AI tools to like send your customer emails when they're most likely going to buy and like all of those things. And I honestly think it's kind of difficult to actually do that accurately because the data that you have in your email platform only goes so far. Like if a customer buys once and you only have that data on them and you've only been around for 5 years, let's say, so you only have historical data that goes back 5 years, I don't know if you can actually predict when this person's going to buy again. So I would honestly more so use just like averages of your historical customers. Like if it typically takes someone who bought a specific product, let's say 90 days to come back and repeat, then like maybe hit them at 90 days. I would love to find an ESP that does the AI triggers in a better way. Because like you also don't know what else is happening to that person outside of email. Like you don't know what they're searching for. You don't know what they're looking at on Instagram, like all of those things which go into when they're likely going to buy again. So I think I don't know if we're there yet.
Yeah, I don't think we're there yet.
Yeah, like, I don't know. It's a little tricky. So the way that I think about AI at least is like more so as like a thought starter. So like if we're thinking about subject lines, for example, like AI could be a good place to just kind of come up with some ideas and definitely adjust them afterwards because they sound a little robotic if you're putting them into like a ChatGPT or if your email platform has something like that. It is though nice to kind of have like a thought starter. So yeah, that's kind of how I've been using AI now. It's just kind of helping me think through ideas, and if there are maybe any processes that you can maybe automate, that could be helpful. I think CX though is like a really good place to start with AI. Feels like a good place, but
I mean, I have like opinions on that too, right? Like I think AI can really help you with like the low hanging fruit.
Agreed.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's like, where's my order? Like those types of even like from a CX perspective, not even just like a servicing the tickets perspective, but like from like a email or SMS perspective too, right? Like, okay, when should I send these emails? Or there's like an issue, like, oh, the carriers had this, I don't know, like 5 days, like maybe AI can like help trigger like an alert to the team, right? Or like while we're triggering an alert, and like, which is like an easy flow that you can like build out, right?
Yeah.
But like also simultaneously writing a message to the customer that's like personalized to them. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Totally,
like to help alleviate the team. Like I don't know, like I don't, there's no tools out there that I know about, so correct me if I'm wrong, but that's kind of how I like view it, like for those low hanging fruit type of items.
Totally.
But I agree with you. I think from like a content creation perspective of like just kind of like getting you through that writer's block. Yeah. It's good for like a marketer.
Yeah.
In a sense
like a
too.
brainstorm. It's good for brainstorming and like trying to think of new ideas, but I don't know if we're there, at least for email specifically and like SMS, like I don't know if we're there with like triggers to be able to accurately predict that, unforthrough. And if there is a platform,
I mean, everybody's going to tell you there's a platform. It's a problem.
Yeah, that's true.
don't throw out that call now, okay? Because all of a sudden your phone's going to start ringing.
That's true. Oh, you're right. Okay, never mind. I take it back. Edit that
Don't call. Don't write yet.
Yeah. Never
We're
mind.
good. We'll just do research.
Yeah. Exactly.
So I just have like some random questions just like about like your perspective and like about customer journeys and stuff. What's a brand that you've bought 5 times or more?
Oh, yeah. Definitely Olipop.
Oh, yeah, baby.
I'm obsessed with Olipop. I love Olipop. Also, my now fiance.
My fiance.
is obsessed with Olipop, so he's been drinking my Olipop. But I've been subscribed specifically to their root beer for like 2 years.
Oh, wow.
So like I don't even want to know how much I've spent at Olipop.
What's
because
your
LTV?
LTV?
It's probably been a lot. So yeah, and I also just like the way they do their emails are really just like cute and fun.
Yeah.
Their SMS is fun.
Yeah.
I think when a product or when a brand has just one product, even if it comes in multiple flavors, like the content needs to be just like fun and cheeky, and I don't know. So I think they do a good job at that as well. But I love their root beer. Big fan.
Yeah. Olipop's also in Oakland. Well, I'm sure they're all like spread out. Like, but I think like they're headquartered in Oakland.
Oh, are they?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Correct us if we're wrong.
Right in.
If you made it this far, correct us if we're wrong. What's your favorite channel, SMS or email?
I think email. I think
I
email.
love SMS, man.
I think email just because I mean, you could be creative obviously on both, but I just like that there's a little bit more room for content, I think. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
From like content, like creative content.
Yeah. I think there's just a little bit more you can maybe do. But I do like SMS. SMS definitely has a time and a place too, for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think email,
Yeah.
old school, and I think I like email a little bit more.
Yeah,
it's cheaper.
No, it is cheaper. I really love SMS, like, but I also ran like our SMS at Feastables. So it's like, and Feastables is a very different brand.
Yeah.
In the sense that that audience is like I know we just talked about Olipop, right? And Olipop's like really fun and poppy, but like the customer base of Olipop is anywhere from like a kid to a mom to a grandmother, you know what I mean? It's like all over the place. Whereas like Feastables' audience is like very Gen Z, Gen Alpha.
Totally.
And so it's like they're mobile first.
That's true. It really depends on your audience. I definitely agree.
And they're
with
not
that.
they're not gonna open an email. They're gonna open an SMS.
Yeah, they're
right?
like, what's an email? I don't even know. Yeah.
Right.
So yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of like why I'm a little obsessed with it, but I don't think it applies. I agree with you.
Yeah.
Like even in your personal opinion of like email, I don't think that the SMS applies for everybody. Though.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, if you're able to get to a point, I feel like I wasn't able to get to this point, and I hope maybe one day at another brand, like understanding what customers prefer which channel, like wholeheartedly, and kind of using that channel a little bit more. I think that is like the perfect way to kind of approach it. So
yeah, totally. Okay, this is like completely random.
Okay.
Very completely random question.
Yes.
But, you know, Courtney and I are newly engaged.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Okay, so we're newly engaged. And obviously CX and retention nerds, right? One of the things I was thinking about, what do you think retention's like in the bridal space? Because I'm like,
that's a really good question.
I was thinking about that when we walked in and we were like showing each other our rings. I was like, what is retention like in bridal space?
Okay, I have thought about that because I've worked with someone who worked at Zola.
Yeah.
And for like email marketing. And yeah, that's a really good question.
Like what do you do?
I don't know. I mean, I guess like I don't know if Zola does this, but like do they do like registry for babies? I feel like they don't, right?
Yeah. Or like maybe I feel like Zola, I don't know how far in the bridal funnel you're in.
Oh, I'm still new. It's only been a few weeks, so I'm fresh.
Well, let me tell you, I went through, because I am a psychopath, okay? I have pretty much planned our wedding.
Okay,
we got engaged in December, planned our wedding. We have the venue, we have our website, all of these things,
we
right?
should talk about venues because I'm struggling.
Oh, I will help you. I will help you on this. I can give you some advice. But I went through all of like the websites, like to like create our website, right?
Yeah, totally.
Went through like Zola, Minted, like all these places. And then, you know, I feel like people, if you make it to this far, are going to shoot me when I say this, but I actually built my website on Squarespace.
Oh, that's
because
great.
I didn't like any of them.
Yeah.
But I mean, granted, I like lost a lot of features. But my point is of bringing this up though, is that when I was like going through like Zola specifically, I did notice that here's your website and you can get your invitations and your thank you cards and like all of these things that are very specific to weddings. So my opinion, because I don't know, I'm not in the bridal space. So like if anybody's in the bridal space would love to know what your retention strategies are. But I think it's definitely more of like acquisition.
Yeah, probably. I would,
Because you're not like, hey.
Get married again?
Yeah. In 10 years, you know, I'm on that email list, right? And you're like, damn, that's awkward.
Knock. Like,
yeah, right? And then what I was just thinking about too is like it's got to be like more growth and acquisition
for
focus,
sure. Yeah,
right?
and like what are their costs? Like their acquisition costs. Then
I know.
What's their CAC?
What's their CAC?
Yeah.
But then like, okay, think about like a bridal shop now, right?
Yeah.
So I think, again, I know nothing, okay? Literally nothing. But like from a bridal shop perspective, is it selling the bride, selling the mom, selling the bridesmaid dresses, all the other things too?
Yeah.
It's like getting like...
Yeah, getting as much as possible. And then you're like, okay, bye.
Yeah, hope I don't see you.
Hope I don't see you ever again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. That's so interesting. That's a really good thing to think about. I don't know.
Well, on that note, if there's anybody out there that works in the bridal space and wants to talk to Courtney and I about retention, yeah, we would love to know. Cool. Well, we're at the end of the road, my friend.
Well, this is great.
I want you to tell our dear audience, where can they find you? Yeah,
I mean, you can find me on LinkedIn. And then my website is just CourtneyConway.com. My email is just Courtney@CourtneyConway.com. Very, very simple. So,
and just a reminder, she's freelancing now. So hit a girl up if you want some retention analytics.
Yeah, any email, retention, happy to help. Just let me know.
Thanks. Well, Courtney, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, thank you.
And to all of you out there, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of The Juice. And we'll see you next week. No idea what city I'll be in then. Hey, wow, you made it to the end of the episode. That means that you like me and I like you, which also means you should subscribe to this show.